Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24 for your latest news from across the continent. I'm Jean-Emile Jamin. Coming up on the show, a man is shot dead as opposition-led protests turn violent in Kenya, all in response to William Ruto's new nationwide tax hikes. Then migrants and locals clash in Tunisia amidst accusations of racism. We head to the town of Sfax, where conditions are worsening and help is absent. And there's another crime plaguing the streets of South Africa. Kidnapping numbers have soared in a country already gripped by a security crisis. Thanks for joining us here on France 24. One man has been shot dead in Nairobi amidst clashes between Kenyan police and protesters. It comes as opposition supporters took to the streets over sweeping tax hikes introduced by William Ruto's government. The country has already been gripped by a cost of living crisis, leading Raila Odinga to call for the latest demonstrations. Bastien Renouy explains from the Kenyan capital.
During his speech, Raila Odinga announced that he is starting a petition. The goal to gather 10 million signatures to ask for the removal of William Ruto from the presidency. Behind this rally and these demonstrations, the high cost of living and the new taxes that are affecting Kenyan people. Listen to some of his supporters.
We want change. This change that we want, high cost of life, and the people are suffering. And we want another government because this government already failed.
Right now, I see this country is not going well. And what we need something to done right now. And we are tired with Ruto.
With Raila Mandamano, with Raila Odinga Mandamano, Azimio. Yeah. So that some things can come down, the sukari, the unga.
Shortly after Raila Odinga's speech, thousands of demonstrators took to the streets to breach Nairobi's central business district. But here, they were welcomed by tear gas shot by the police. And the situation was the same in several cities across the country. We have seen running battles between the police and demonstrators in several cities. All these demonstrations were organized by the Azimio la Umoja movement of Raila Odinga. They were all asking for solutions to the high cost of living. They were all demonstrating against the new taxes and against the government of William Ruto.
That's Bastien Renouy from Nairobi. Well, at the start of the week, Senegalese President Macky Sall announced he would not be running for a controversial third term in office. Now the race is on to find his successor. With presidential elections just 7 months away, the governing Benno Bokk Yakaar coalition is yet to name a candidate. Our reporters in Dakar bring us this report.
Who will replace Macky Sall to lead the ruling coalition into next year's presidential race? It's a question on the minds of many Senegalese and one that for now remains unanswered.
Le Premier ministre du Sénégal, Amadou Ba.
Selon moi, personne. Parce qu'ils sont tous pareils.
It will be hard for Macky Sall to find someone who can replace him because he has really dominated the political space around him. He is everything. He does everything. He takes all the decisions.
At the coalition headquarters, supporters of Macky Sall say they are sad to see him step down, but they agree that it must be the president himself who chooses his successor.
We will not hold primaries as if we are imitating other countries. There is a meeting planned on Monday with the leaders of the Benno Bokk Yakaar coalition with the aim of harmonizing our approach to find a consensus and finding a candidate of consensus.
After 11 years of power, the ruling coalition faces an unprecedented challenge: to head into an election without Macky Sall at the helm. The coalition itself is formed of Sall's APR party, as well as older political groupings like the Socialist Party and the Alliance for the Forces of Progress. Analysts believe these parties will remain united ahead of the next election.
There will not be any implosion because they will envisage making it to the second round of the election. The coalition, whether Macky Sall is in charge or not, cannot win in the first round like in 2012 or 2019. They must hold the coalition together in the second round, even if they field multiple candidates in the first.
The coalition has up until August 25th to name a candidate. After this date, each candidate must gather signatures of support from across the country, without which they will be ineligible to stand in the 2024 election.
Well, in the north of the continent, in Tunisia, migrants from sub-Saharan Africa are facing continued racist attacks, especially in the city of Sfax. Relations with locals have worsened after the death of one Tunisian during a confrontation with migrants. Hundreds have also been forcibly transported to the desert borders with Libya and Algeria, left to fend for themselves. Our correspondents Lilia Blaise and Hamdi Tlili took stock of the situation.
In downtown Sfax, hundreds of migrants have been sleeping in the streets for 2 days. Local mobs kicked them out of their housing. Many had to leave everything behind, like Mary from Sierra Leone.
The living condition is not easy because there is not enough food. It's very difficult. So all of us here, we are homeless. We need place to stay for now till we know what is going on.
Migrants are sticking together for safety. Mary can't contact her embassy because Sierra Leone doesn't have diplomatic representation in Tunisia. Others, like Mohammed from Burkina Faso, don't want to stay in the country another day.
If Tunisians don't want us, contact our embassies to find us a solution so we can go home instead of taking us to the desert.
More than 500 migrants were forcibly transported to the desert borders with Libya and Algeria, according to Human Rights Watch, but Tunisian authorities deny it. In Sfax, many locals object to this treatment of black migrants. Some bring them food and water.
I refuse to turn away our neighbors. Please, we need to make an appeal. Everyone needs to unite to find solutions.
For me, the only urgent question is, what should we do when facing this catastrophic humanitarian situation?
But tensions are likely to persist in Sfax. The city has no policies or structures in place to deal with migrants who want to reach Europe. Tunisian authorities release the migrants they arrest at sea, who then try their journey again. That was the case for these Sudanese migrants who have been living in a park in Sfax for 3 months.
It's very difficult here, especially for women. We don't have clean conditions.
While Tunisia continues to negotiate with the European Union to crack down on irregular migration, President Kais Saied has frequently said that he won't play the role of Europe's border guard, and the country has no asylum law.
South Africa is notorious for its high levels of crime. Authorities have their hands full with cases of rape, murder and robbery. Now they're facing yet another challenge. Kidnappings are on the rise, with an average of 44 cases a day reported in 2022. Our correspondents in South Africa filed this story.
Mike Bolhuis is one of the top private investigators in South Africa with clients from across the country. This businessman is one of them. Kidnapped 3 months ago, his bank accounts were emptied in minutes. He's remaining anonymous for fear of his safety.
I mean, laying in the bed, praying the whole night, asking myself if they will release us or kill us. He thought that maybe if they can kidnap my partner's son, then they could get more money from the business.
His business partner has also been threatened. She's since relocated, carries a gun and wears a bulletproof vest. She isn't taking any chances.
I am very proficient with my weapon. I shoot twice a week. I attended another training session on anti-hijacking and how to manipulate yourself out of a vehicle, in a vehicle, shooting through a vehicle, underneath a vehicle, that type of thing.
Kidnappings in South Africa have skyrocketed, with 16,000 cases reported last year alone, an average of around 44 a day.
Syndicates are all connected with people in organizations or institutions that can assist them to execute these crimes. And that could be contacts at cell phone companies, it could be contacts, as I've said, in the safety and security industries, and even up as far as government.
Cape Town recently got the FBI to train officers in dealing with kidnappings and extortion. It's working with local private security companies to set up an anti-kidnapping unit. This former policeman says kidnappers are getting away with a slap on the wrist.
What is the sentence we're getting? 5 years for kidnapping? It cannot be. We have to relook at sentencing, where you can at least 30 years or even longer.
The country will have to work fast. It ranks 7th in the world for the number of kidnappings taking place annually.
Well, staying with South Africa, its President Cyril Ramaphosa met DRC President Felix Tshisekedi on Thursday for their country's 12th binational commission. On the agenda in Kinshasa was a pledge to revive the DRC's grand Inga Dam project, something South Africa hopes will solve its crippling power crisis. It's estimated to cost $14 billion, and it aims to harness the power of the Congo River. But red tape and regional disagreements have meant repeated delays. Here's South Africa's leader, Cyril Ramaphosa.
I spoke about it in Europe a few days ago and called upon the world, particularly the financing institutions, to help fund this mega project. This we see as a continental project because the power that will be generated from the Grand Inga is going to supply energy and electricity to many countries around the DRC.
18 million doses of the first malaria vaccine will be delivered to 12 African countries in the next 3 years. The World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the Vaccine Alliance made the announcement on Wednesday, with the first jabs expected to be deployed across the continent in early 2024. To expand on this breakthrough, here's France 24's Caroline Lambole.
It's a major breakthrough, a vaccine against malaria, one of Africa's deadliest diseases. Every year, it kills nearly 500,000 children under the age of 5.
I'm pleased that together with Gavi and UNICEF, WHO will shortly announce the allocation of 18 million doses of RTSS malaria vaccine to 12 countries in Africa. With the climate crisis, changing weather patterns, mosquitoes that carry this disease are increasing in density and spreading further afield.
The vaccine, which was developed by British pharmaceutical giant GSK, should prevent around 75% of malaria cases. It's already been administered to more than 1.7 million children in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi as part of a pilot program that began in 2019. The 3 countries will continue receiving the jabs, as well as 9 other countries. Demand largely outweighs supply, though. Around 30 countries across the continent had expressed interest in receiving the vaccine. Another malaria vaccine is currently under review for pre-qualification by the WHO. If it's approved, supply should increase significantly. But this could take some time, seeing as the rollout for the RTSS vaccine is only due to start by early next year.
Well, that's all the news from across the continent this evening, but there's more coming up on France 24.
personas en la plaza, yo nunca en mi vida me lo hubiera imaginado.
In 2015, the CICIG, or International Commission Against Impunity in Guatemala, forced President Otto Perez Molina to resign over alleged fraud and links to criminals. But in 2018, Jimmy Morales, his successor, dissolved the commission which was targeting him.
Empezaron a hacer ver las protestas como algo de zurdos, de izquierda, de comunistas, de terroristas.
The media was silenced. Members of the CICIG were imprisoned or forced into exile.
Tengo la esperanza de un día volver y poder seguir luchando por Guatemala. Quiero mucho a mi país.
Guatemala's lost hope, for Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.